Implementing a new system carries many risks, and it is vital to prepare an organisation to approach change in a positive way. So communicate early with strong commitment from the top, making sure that staff know that they will be expected to make the new system work. Choosing a good internal implementation manager and a strong backup team is vital, so pick someone well respected who will be a strong proponent for the benefits of the new system. You need a champion. And there will always be some staff members whose nose has been put out of joint, so identify and tackle these early. Make sure that as long as they continue to be disruptive, they will feel well and truly outside the team. Don't be afraid to reorganise and to make the best use of the new system. Times of change offer challenges and opportunities. You have no choice but to deal with the challenges, so make sure that you make it all worthwhile and grab the opportunities. There are 4 major tasks that you need to accomplish: data take-on, system testing, training, and the go-live itself. We will look at each of these in turn. Did you ever start a job that seemed perfectly straightforward, and then for no apparent reason every difficulty under the sun arises? For most of the implementations I have experienced, data take-on has turned out to be just one of those jobs. It is because computer systems are fundamentally picky. One system might like address lines to be 100 characters wide, another might only allow 80 characters. Some systems might require a contact name or a postcode, others couldn't care less. And if you use different currencies or country codes, then these can be held in different ways by different systems. It is rare for data to be moved from one system to another without a fair degree of manipulation. If you can manipulate data automatically, perhaps by using spreadsheets or by having a simple ad hoc program written, it is often a good idea to use this approach from the start. It will pay dividends when you find you are running the routine for the 4th or the 5th time to iron out that one last niggle. It has also surprised me how often inaccurate data has come to light, but only after the system has gone live, sometimes with embarrassing results if it affects documents sent to customers. So in order to avoid these problems, you need to start the process early with plenty of resources. Where it's feasible, automate the migration. Make sure that expert staff who are familiar with the data go through the results with a fine-tooth comb. And they need to make sure that all the data has been transferred. The data transferred is accurate and that there is no duplication. The best way to achieve this is to create a control point, make a manager accountable and ask for the process to be signed off before progressing further. When you buy a lawnmower, you don't expect the shopkeeper to deliver it, install it, push it and leave you with a perfectly mown lawn. But when it comes to computer systems, some business owners and managers don't seem to appreciate that acquiring the tool is not enough in itself. It is down to them to use it. They appear to expect that the purchase of a new system will solve all of their problems as if by magic, with very little further work from themselves. When a software supplier or a systems integrator tells you that a system will deliver according to your requirements, you have to remember that they don't know your business in detail, no more so than you know how their software works. It is easy for misunderstanding and miscommunication to occur, and the only way that you can be sure that the system will definitely meet all of your needs is through rigorous testing. Produce a detailed testing plan from your system specification checklist. Don't rely on hastily concocted test data. System testers under pressure have a tendency to use the data that's easy to create, and because it's straightforward, it's unlikely to cause problems. Instead, use real data, the trickiest you can find. Give the responsibility for devising the test to somebody other than the tester. Nobody wants the extra work of a failed test, and testers often subconsciously use data that is unlikely to go wrong. However much of a pain it is to correct and retest at the testing stage, it is much more painful to have to bring systems down and try to fix things under pressure in a live environment. Fixing an issue can sometimes create knock-on issues elsewhere. So once all the fixes have been applied, don't just test the errors that have been corrected, test the entire system. Make the test a control point. An accountable manager needs to sign off that every function in the system specification has been tested and been found to be working properly in all circumstances. Only when this point is reached should you consider going live. But in the meanwhile, staff will need to be trained. Training has two purposes. The most obvious is to enable staff to have the technical ability to use the new system to carry out their jobs. But training also has a wider and in many ways more important purpose. It can set the right expectations and attitudes towards a new system. It can create the right culture. When Lou Gerstner was given the job of saving IBM, as an ex-McKinsey consultant, he had an academic outlook. Before he started, he said he always viewed culture as one of those things you talked about, like marketing and advertising. It was one of those tools that a manager had. But when he finished, he said, "The thing I have learned at IBM is that culture is everything." And he was right. If you try to introduce a new system to a business where the culture is unreceptive, you will have very little chance of success. How people feel about themselves, about the business, about the new system will have a huge impact on how well it will perform. So the first job of your training program will be to sell the new system, to get staff thinking about it as their system, to get them to take ownership and pride in it. So fairly early in the process, you need to give an overview of the new system, why it's going to be good for them, and why it will make life better for them. Once you've got staff thinking positively, you can deal with the nuts and bolts. There is an old Chinese proverb, "I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand." So when you put together a detailed training program, avoid lengthy talks. Whenever you can, explain concepts by using pictures and teach them how to use the system by getting them on the keyboard and making them use it. Training should be as close as possible to real life, so you can use the work you did for system testing to create realistic exercises. People have a limited retention period for detail, so you should schedule your detailed training as close as possible to the live date. Running a new system for the first time can be a stressful and risky process. Your first priority is to plan for the worst. In the horrendous situation of the new system totally failing, and this happens more often than you would think, you need to be able to resume normal business quickly using the old system. So plan your go live at a time and date that gives you the best opportunity to recover. Make sure that your staff are supported with the resource that they need, both internally and externally. A little hand-holding goes a long way to build confidence and get things running smoothly over the first few hours. If key customers or suppliers may be affected, inform them that you are planning a system change so that they are prepared if things should go wrong. People can be very understanding about genuine problems, but they don't like surprises. Be prepared to persevere. I've been lucky enough to have never had a total failure at the live stage, but I have gone through some very tricky moments when several unexpected problems have occurred at once. The faint at heart especially the internal disruptors, can be very vocal about giving up. But by keeping calm and working through the issues methodically, you will almost always be able to pull things through. Be very attentive to your system checks and balances and reports. Make sure that everything is happening as expected early on, as mistakes become more and more costly to rectify as the volume of transactions processed builds up. After your first day of processing successfully with the new system, you'll probably feel that some refreshment is in order. And speaking of which, I think I'll take a break now myself. I hope you'll join me for my final episode, when I will look at monitoring and maintaining your system, and I'll also add some final thoughts.